Hello everyone, I'm Eviel and welcome to another episode of Video Game Pickups. First up we have Charlie's Angels on the PlayStation 2. This is a beat-em-up game, based on the 2000 movie of the same name, which itself was based on the 1970s television series of the same name. The game was heavily panned by critics at the time of its release, and in fairness, it's easy to see why. But if you can get past the repetitive gameplay aspects, and in some places, some questionable graphical choices, I do think that there's some fun to be had with this game. And with that said, let's get into it. Your missions are split into different sections, each played out by different angels, but they all pretty much control the same. You just have to get past all the bad guys to reach your destination and then move on. Your characters can jump and attack, and you can block opposing attacks. But it seems like you mostly only get hit when multiple enemies swarm around you and interrupt your attack animations, so it might be best just to mostly spam the attack buttons anyway. As you move on, you do get combo moves, which makes the combat a bit more interesting, and you can also find some hidden items, including those that refill your health as you move on and battle as well. I think that if this game had had a little more time in the oven, it might have been pretty good, but as it is, it's lacking variety, and it ends up looking kind of bad. Although if anything, this game can at least be a laugh. That's Charlie's Angels on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have Flipnic on the PlayStation 2. This is a pinball game, albeit quite an ambitious pinball game that aims to add adventure elements and exciting minigames into its several 3D pinball table experiences. Later areas introduce some unusual concepts for the genre, such as defeating bosses and swarms of enemies, and I think it's all executed and presented quite well. And I especially like the areas where your board jumps around or you get to battle with multiple balls against opposition. My only complaint would be that you have to complete side missions in each area to move on to new tables, and whilst that progression is naturally understandable to add length to the game, there's a lot of very cool looking battles ahead in this game that almost defy the genre itself, that I'm quite eager to jump ahead to and experience. So with that said, I'll definitely have to come back to this game again down the line to unlock the other extraordinary playing fields available. This game also boasts 4 2-player games as well, and it has a massive 7-part tutorial video that you can view if you somehow didn't know how to play pinball, which is entirely just hitting the ball with paddles. Anyway, that's Flipnic Ultimate Pinball on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have Outlaw Volleyball on the PlayStation 2. This is a volleyball game, and is part of the Outlaw Sport Game series. I believe the PS2 version of this game is also known as Outlaw Volleyball Remixed elsewhere, as it came out after the original Xbox version and featured some new content like some costumes. This game plays pretty well, with various ways to control the ball, pass it to your teammate and spike it into your opposition to score. The main Outlaw-style gimmick of this game, besides the typical for this series dress code, or lack thereof that is that you can fight the opposing team to gain momentum for special moves during play. Overall the play is pretty fun, but I found the default difficulty laughably easy, with the opposing team fumbling the ball constantly, so you might want to turn up the difficulty if you play this for sure. In addition to the main game mode, there is also a challenge drills side game mode, where you can take on some interesting tasks, such as taking out targets that pop up, like a sort of volleyball shooting gallery for example, and you unlock more as you go. This is another game with a massive tutorial video section, with 6 videos explaining how to play, but the tutorials are performed in character by some of the game's characters, so they're actually pretty funny. With that said, awkwardly, if they'd used some of those wacky characters and they'd fleshed out the game with a story mode, it could have competed with the likes of Dead or Alive Volleyball. As it is, I think they were probably mostly concerned with getting the flesh out on display to sell. Anyway, that's Outlaw Volleyball on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have 2 picks in one with Pinball Hall of Fame and Play It Pinball. First up, of the 2 pinball games from Play It, we have Pinball Hall of Fame The Gottlieb Collection. This is a pinball game. The 3D pinball arcade style menu is very cool in this game, and I love how you can select the table that you want to play from within a virtual pinball arcade, and you can see a little history and information about each table as well. What I will say is that the default camera angle you see here, where the camera follows the ball, is pretty bad. It makes the game much more difficult to play, which it already is because many of the older style tables have spaces where you can easily lose your ball without even getting a chance to hit it back. So I very much recommend, if you play this, to change the camera angle so that you can see the entirety of the table to play it easier. The Gottlieb collection has a few different versions, and some of those feature different tables, but overall this is classic pinball action, and you can't go wrong there. That's Pinball Hall of Fame, the Gottlieb collection, on the PlayStation 2. Next up, of the 2 pinball games from Play It, we have Play It Pinball, or just Pinball. This is a pinball game, and this game is actually presented very differently from the previous pinball game from Play It that I just showed. But I'm still counting both pinball games from Play It as one pick, so think of this as a bonus extra game in this video. This game's presentation is more stripped back, with no fancy menus, and just 2 tables selectable from the outset until you unlock more through play. The tables themselves' play area is also fully in view, and at least the starter tables don't feature anything too out of the ordinary, so it's very easy to play. And sometimes I think that that's exactly what you want. This is classic pinball and it plays very well. And I'd also say it probably plays easier than the previous game I showed. So there you have it. That's Play It Pinball on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have Quest for Sleeping Beauty on the PlayStation 2. This is a maze game, and I picked it up because it looked a lot like a previous game I picked up called the Snow Queen Quest. And it is indeed similar, but having said that, this game is still pretty fun, and it plays like a 3D Pac-Man game from a top-down perspective. Your objective is to reach the end of each maze, and progress to the next. Each maze is filled with enemies that block your path, but you can pick up potions to get past them. Red potions scare enemies away, blue potions pause them so you can stomp on them, and green potions make you invisible. Some stages may require you to do more than just reach the exit. You may need to collect a certain number of coins beforehand, or have to procure a key from a treasure chest, or race against the clock to reach the exit in time. And I think the extra challenges add some nice variety, and I do have to say, for an obvious budget release, this game was surprisingly enjoyable, and I actually would recommend it. That's Quest for the Sleeping Beauty on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have ZooCube on the PlayStation 2. This is a puzzle game, where you match animal blocks that fly towards a rotating 3D cube. You can get power-ups and move around the blocks in a stack on the cube to help. If the stacks on the cube mount up too high, it's game over. I think the story of this game involves people travelling in a spaceship to collect animals from various different planets for a zoo. They seem to digitize the animals and then must complete the ZooCube to proceed. Is that right? Or does it even make any sense? I don't know, but does a puzzle game even need a story? It reminds me of Tetris Worlds, which also has an odd story for a puzzle game, where you have to save the homeworld of the Minos before the solar system's sun Hades supernovas, by using the Minos Tetrion contraption to rescue people on different worlds. Does that make sense? Well anyway, what's lost in all this confusion is that this is a fun puzzle game, and I honestly do recommend it. Like most games of this style, it starts out easy and then speeds up as you go, so puzzle enthusiasts of all skill levels can find something to enjoy here. That's ZooCube on the PlayStation 2. Next up we have GripShift on the PSP. This is a puzzle racing game. That is to say that this game is like a cross between a racing game and something like Super Monkey Ball. It's an interesting mix of gameplay styles that has you racing against the clock on various challenge stages to make it to the end in time. There's tons of collectibles to grab along the way, and some of those bonus items, albeit hard to grab, unlock hidden extras. This game puts an emphasis on controlling your momentum to successfully grab items and not fall off the track, but you also have to keep up speed to gain air for jumps when needed as well. All of the stages' challenges vary nicely, which makes for an interesting challenge, and some of the tasks have you racing against other drivers, Mario Kart style, which is a nice change of pace as well. This game can be challenging, especially with the PlayStation Portable 2 control, but I found myself liking it more and more as I played. There was also an Xbox Live Arcade version of this game which featured additional content, but unfortunately, as is the nature of digital content, it is no longer available. It's a shame because this game would be great to play with a regular controller. Having said that, I still think it's good. That's GripShift on the PSP. Next up we have Shinobido, Tales of the Ninja on the PSP. This is a stealth game, which is known in Japan as Shinobido Homura and is a spin-off of Shinobido Way of the Ninja. After you learn the ropes, you select your character and set out on ninja action across a variety of missions. You mostly aren't tied to stealth implicitly and can brawl or use gadgets to take out your enemies as well. As you proceed, you unlock new characters with different equipment and new missions to traverse as well. I bought this game from CEX and unfortunately as it is now, it's missing the case and manual. It's an awkward story really, as when I initially tried to purchase this game from CEX, it was complete with the case and manual, but they put the wrong game in the case and couldn't find the right one, so I had to return it. Sometime later I came back and saw that they put the game back out on sale, evidently finding it, but also seemingly having thrown away the original case and booklet when they couldn't find it. And I think that's a real shame because I'd love to have this game complete, although I am glad to have it regardless. This game is pretty cool. That's Shinobido, Tale of the Ninja on the PSP. Next up we have Child of Eden on the PlayStation 3. This is a musical on-rails shooter. You can play this with a regular controller, but I opted to use the PlayStation Move controls when playing this, and that's what you're seeing in the gameplay. It can be a little awkward to set up, but once it's done right, it feels very usable to me. Speaking of awkward, there is an Xbox 360 Kinect version of this game, but for sure I thought that the PlayStation Move would be far easier to set up and play by comparison. This game is set in the far future where humanity has long left Earth and much of human knowledge is held within a virtual realm called Eden, which I guess is kind of like the internet world from the film Lawnmower Man, but less scary. Or is it? Anyway, inside Eden, they have resurrected the personality of the first spacefaring human, Lumi, to reside inside this space. However, an unknown powerful space virus corrupts the realm, and now you must travel through Lumi's memory archives, fighting the virus monsters to purge the corruption from all that exists within. When you free Lumi, she can sing and flood Eden with positive emotion, saving it. Does that make sense? Well, I'm not sure it needs to make sense because regardless, this game is a blast. It's super fun. As you move on rails, enemies or hazards appear on the screen, and you must shoot them down. But if you lock onto several targets at once before firing, you can be more effective and get a higher score. You can also score bonuses like extra health, which help recover damage from the enemies firing back at you, which is especially helpful in the epic boss battles that this game offers. I think that this game is quite visually stunning, and I also find the gameplay to be very engaging as well, and I would go so far as to call this a hidden gem. That's Child of Eden on the PlayStation 3. And finally we have PopCap Hits Volume 2 on the Xbox 360. This is a collection of 4 Xbox Live Arcade games on one disc. It includes Feeding Frenzy 2, Heavy Weapon, Plants vs. Zombies, and Zuma. First up we have Feeding Frenzy 2, which is an arcade-style game, and sequel to Feeding Frenzy, which was an Xbox Live Arcade game for the Xbox 360. You start out as a little fish devouring everything smaller than yourself, until you grow in size and can take on bigger targets, whilst avoiding bumping into anything bigger than you, or it's you who shall be food instead. I enjoy this game as much as the original and its fast and fun arcade-style action. That's Feeding Frenzy. Next up we have Heavy Weapon, which is also known as Heavy Weapon Atomic Tank. This is a horizontal scrolling shooter. The core gameplay reminds me of Missile Command, where you are located at the bottom of the screen and targets come at you from above. But in this game, you can move around, gather power-ups, and face a wide variety of enemies and boss monsters from all directions. As with the previous game in this collection, I think this game is very cool. That's Heavy Weapon. Next up we have Plants vs. Zombies, which is a tower defense game, where you must protect your house from encroaching hordes of zombies by planting various defensive plants in your garden to fight back. The zombies come in various types with different capabilities, and as you progress through the game to new missions, you can gain new plants to equip, but you can only field so many. Some plants provide resources to deploy others, while some fire back at enemies, and others slow them down by one way or another. This game was incredibly popular, and for good reason. It's really fun, and it's easy to spend a lot of time on it. There's lots of different versions of this game, and at the time of this video, this game itself is actually getting a remaster to be released on modern systems. That's Plants vs. Zombies. And finally we have Zoomer. This is a puzzle game, where you release coloured projectiles from a frog's mouth into a string of colourful blocks that move towards you. If you match colours, they disappear, and you can move on to new challenges. But if the blocks reach the area you defend, it's game over. That's Zoomer. And that's PopCap Hits Volume 2. And there you have it. That's it for this episode of Video Game Pickups. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like or a comment to let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. And if you'd like to, you can also support me through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. Thank you for watching. I've been MVL, and I will catch you next time.